You want a game that allows you to move freely? You want a game that revolves around NFTs? What about a game with terrible performance that's been out for almost a year? We're talking about Off the Grid, baby. Let's go.
Warning.
The game's been out on Epic for like nearly a year now, October 2024, if I'm gonna be exact, because there's gonna be a stand that's like, it should have been quite a year. Okay, calm down. It runs absolutely terrible, and I'm gonna go more into detail later, but the game really doesn't run quite well. If the game ran really badly in October in its beta, and then it's now running terribly like a year later, it's more of a concern than ever, right? But I've looked at plenty of games that run like absolute terrible dog shit and found pluses and minuses in them, so let's desperately try and do that now. Look at the game is pretty outdated, I'm not gonna lie. Tall city buildings, infrastructure, it's got a backstory of it's a big war game bringing in civilians with like parts that they can exchange out on their arms and their legs. Cool, but like pretty much let's move past the story because it is just kind of the usual story, right? But look, I'm not going to go into the negative straight away. Let's look at some of the positives, baby. Let's look at the positives before I slam before I just boom and just slip. You know what I'm saying? God damn. The movement of the game is actually quite good. There's a lot of sliding, jumping, jetpacking. As long as you jump from a certain distance, you can jetpack, and using that jetpack, you can get to plenty of other buildings, even buildings that are bigger. So it means that instead of being stuck on the ground floor and then not being able to find a way to get to the circle center, you can basically find a way to maneuver most of the time, whether that's by getting legs that allow you to jump really high and then jetpacking that way, or even the slamming ones that allow you to float up into the air and then decide where you land. But we'll get into the arms race a little bit later. Do you see what this... Anyway, the movement with the jetpacks and legs is actually sick. It's one of the coolest things, right? And I'm going to put the legs down as a movement part, and then we'll talk about weapons later, the arms. But essentially what you can do is exchange out different limbs for different abilities, right? You can exchange out your left and right arm as well as your legs. And with your legs, of course, it's always going to be movability. And usually I would say do this or do that. Honestly, I played like an hour of it, and I know somebody's going to be like, well, I'm clicking off the video. This isn't a good review. And I'm going to say it's not a review. I've stopped doing review videos. I now just do videos where I talk about games. You only need to play this game for like an hour to know what's going on. Honestly, the jumping legs are probably the best because you can just kind of jump and then fly away. But then again, the jumping and slamming is good, especially if people are in cover. There we go. That's my 2 cents. I got a haircut, all right? And I don't like it. I said a little off the top, and the dude took half of it. Fuck. What is your problem, hairdressers and barbers? Holy shit. I'm not going to go into my specs, right? Because people always want to micromanage the minutiae. It's a 3060 Ti with 36 gigs of RAM and a fucking Ryzen 9 9900. If I need more than that to run this garbage, then there's something very wrong. Get in here. I wasn't even streaming the game. I was recording it, and if you know anything about OBS, Buffer uses almost nothing because all it's doing is kind of doing a vague capture in the back, and it only uses resources when you capture, and it still looked like shit, and it still ran like shit. All right? I love you. And I've played like 3,000 hours of Apex Legends. I've played like over 1,000 hours of PUBG, and I've played a lot of Overwatch and Call of Duty and blah, 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 blah. And honestly, there's things about this game that are pretty cool. And then there's things about this game that are hot firing dog crap. And I'm sad. That's what we're stuck in that place with games right now, where there's games that come out that are either completely unloved, games that come out and they're perfection and they're asking for $5, or there's games that come out and have all this chance and then they're hot shit in one way or another. Performance, or the gameplay's not that good, or the loop's boring, or there's not enough content. Like, what are we doing here? Let's talk about one of the most disappointing parts of this game, and it was the reason why this game, on its initial trailer release in like early 2004, it might have been late 2000. Like 23, just 2023, is that the game has NFTs in it. Oh, you open a pack and then there's an NFT and then you can put that on the marketplace. Now, at the time when this was announced, it was like crypto and NFTs were like a new fanfangled thing. People going, don't go into the stock market, don't invest in property, and don't invest in in the stock market, in the S&P 500. all of these things that will almost always, in the long run, get you money. Invest in a digital picture.
What up, Editor Razy here. I just wanted to add something here. I went to play a little bit more of the game and just to get some more footage, to give it another run before I finish the edit. And man, this game is so filled with bots now because there's NFTs and there's money to be made in it. And I mean, it doesn't shock you. There was bots in games before. There was like money to be made off just literal dog shit that you just get from playing the game, and the game's filled to the brim with it. So anyway, I left that part out. The footage is here. Let's get back to commentary Reezy, who doesn't know that I exist.
It's like this is the gameplay and everything, and it's like it's kind of dry, but it could be moist, right? It could be moist. You could baste it, you know, but the inside of it is just shit. So, and the thing is if the stuffing's bad, then the rest of the turkey's gonna taste bad because the stuffing's what gives it taste. You see what I'm saying? You guys just want to see me stuff something. Overall, hard pass on the game. There's a lot better things coming out. Yes, it's free, so take a run at it if you want to. But I also land in the park that your time is more valuable than your money. You are better off spending a little bit of money on a game that has a track record, that has a studio that has a track record, something that the community has said, this is really good, go play it. Over spending no money playing a free-to-play game and then putting like 3-4 hours into a complete piece of garbage that only wishes to benefit and profit off you. But I appreciate you guys. More videos to come. And remember, do something nice for yourself. I don't know, buy a pizza. Go get a hot dog. You know, play a game that you want to play. You know, sleep in an hour. Do something nice for yourself this week. I appreciate you guys, and I'll talk to you later.